I grew up in a great home. My parents did everything they could to make my life as normal as possible.
In the last 4 years, I've buried a son and watched my family fall apart, and God put us back together slowly.
So all these circumstances, positives and negatives, I think was God shaping me into the person that I am today.
May 12th, 2012. More than 6,000 graduates arrive on campus, some as early as 5:30 a.m. Excitement levels soar. This day marks the end of a journey and the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. But graduates are mindful that their true journeys began long before stepping foot on Liberty University's campus.
I grew up in rural Minnesota, Sacred Heart, Minnesota, with my mom and dad and my brother.
I'm from a small town called Mogi das Cruzes in the state of São Paulo, Brazil. I was raised there, and growing up, I was always fascinated with the entertainment industry.
The desire to want to attend Liberty has been something of mine for many years, and God allowed me to instill that vision into my children.
This year's commencement ceremony will bring one of the largest crowds ever seen on Liberty University's campus. Total numbers will reach 34,000, and many visitors will be seeing the campus for the first time. No victory worth achieving is won without trial. Some who pass through this institution must fight exceptional battles in order to see this day. They are our champions, and these are their stories.
Before my mom went into labor, my parents didn't know that I would have a physical disability. The day she went into labor, she went to the hospital and they thought I had heart problems. So they had to fly me into the University of Minneapolis. Since it was a rural hospital, they didn't have the equipment there. And upon arriving in Minneapolis, they did testing on me and told my mom that I didn't have arms and legs, among some other things. And so the next day, after my dad had arrived, the doctors gave my parents two options, saying that my mom could have me naturally. And because she would be having me naturally, the bones I did have, and because of mineral deficiency I had, my skull would be crushed and I would die. And the other option was that she could have me through a cesarean section and I would maybe live. So my parents chose the cesarean section. They said that was the only option. So they took me home, and for the next 6 months or so, they took me back to the hospital every 2 weeks. And the doctor would tell my parents that I would never amount to anything and that I would just be a burden on their lives. So they should just institutionalize me so they wouldn't have to deal with me. And of course they said, no, that's not an option either. Needless to say, I was very dependent on my parents. I never dreamed that I would be able to go to college, but I was able to do that too. I was able to go to undergrad at the University of Minnesota. That was about 5 hours away from home, so I had to completely be independent and take care of myself with help of others, but not my parents. So it was a good growing experience, and at the end of my undergrad, I was trying to decide what I would do, and I wanted to do law. So my mom suggested that I apply to Liberty.
For Liberty University faculty and staff, commencement begins well before Saturday morning. But even greater is the lifetime preparation of the graduates and their families.
So from the time they were 8, 9, 10, we started bringing the boys to Liberty University so that they could get a feel for what was happening on the campus and want to actually attend the Christian university when they got older. And over the years, we put the boys in Liberty Christian Academy, and we changed in churches and started attending Thomas Road and just making Liberty more and more our family. Everything just seemed like that was how God had it, and it was all coming together. And then on the morning of May 3rd, 2008, the boys were coming home from a school event at a Liberty Christian Academy, and they were involved in a car wreck, and my youngest son was killed instantly. Psalms 139 says that all of our days are numbered, and He knew them. And so I started, really seeking the Lord. If you knew this was going to happen, you knew Jamie was only going to be here 16 years, and you were leading us and making all of these decisions and pointing us toward liberty, then what was it that you wanted me to do when this pain came? Because as a mom, I just didn't know how I could go on living with that kind of pain.
Growing up, I was always fascinated with the entertainment industry. So my parents decided to send me to a Christian performing arts school in Kansas after I graduated from high school. And I studied there for about 1 year. And at the end of that year, I was watching television and I saw this commercial. And it was Jerry Falwell saying, if you have financial problems, Liberty University is the place for you. And I was like, I do have financial problems, who doesn't? So I decided to apply for it. And through my research, Liberty University, I discovered that they had the best Christian theater program in the nation. And I was fascinated with that. So after transcripts being translated and all that process, I got accepted. So when I arrived at Liberty University, my freshman year did not go as smooth as I wish it would have been. I had struggled a lot making friends, and my English classes were extremely difficult. That first year, I never got cast into one of the shows here at the theater department. But during my second year and my sophomore year, I finally did get cast. And I was extremely excited because I was finally going to be able to be a part of it. However, my grades weren't high enough, and they had to replace me with other students because I didn't fit the requirements to be a part of the production. I struggle a lot with my with the English classes, and because of that, my GPA got dropped.
This year's commencement speaker is presidential candidate Mitt Romney. Security is tight and traffic is heavy as graduates and their families line up in anticipation of entering the stadium. Also present is Chick-fil-A founder Truett Cathy, who will receive an honorary doctorate from Liberty University and steal the spotlight for a few brief seconds.
You don't determine a man's greatness by his talent or wealth, as the world does, but rather by what it takes to discourage him. The best advice I know to give is to give those worldly things your best, but never your all. Reserve the ultimate hope for the only one who can grant it.
We wouldn't have thought, now looking back, that we would have even survived as a family. But God has proven to be faithful. And the three of us had had a horrible time with counselors. Our youngest son, Jamie, had left such a strong Christian testimony that we were told by a lot of people we just needed to get over it and just rejoice. And I know they meant well, but that's just not how it works. And so I really just kept seeking the Lord. If this was part of your plan and you knew, then what did you want me to do with this pain? Because I can't just get over it. And I couldn't function, and my husband and my other son couldn't function, and we just didn't know how we were going to live. And somewhere in crying out to God for several months, He started speaking to me a passage in 1 Thessalonians 4, verses 13 through 18. And it starts off, that I would not have you be ignorant, brethren, concerning those which have fallen asleep, that you do not grieve as those who have no hope. And I felt the Lord telling me, it was okay to grieve Him and to miss Him, but don't do it without hope. Don't stay in the bed all day. Don't become withdrawn. Don't become bitter. But the passage ends with, wherefore comfort one another with these words. And I just felt the Lord leading me, just really prompted my heart, Laura, what's stopping you from becoming a counselor? You would never tell a mother to get over it, and you would know how to talk to a grieving couple and the siblings because you've lived it. And I really debated with the Lord about that. You've got to be kidding. I can't function. But He wouldn't let it go. And so I stepped out on faith. I took a class and then a few more classes and slowly built up. My mind just started clicking and the healing started to come.
Coming here was going to be pretty difficult just because of all the care I need and transportation and just such specific like living arrangements in apartments, and having to plan that out would take a lot of time, and really only by God's grace and provision was it able to all work out. My mom and I flew down here in May of 2009 and just checked out the campus, and we searched for apartments, and we had to call about 20 different apartments before I was able to find one that worked pretty good. I had to interview about nine girls, which would become my PCA, which is called a personal care attendant. A PCA will come and help me get ready. She'll help me shower and do my hair and get dressed, help me with all the little details. And then after that's done, my bus will come. Generally, I'll have had to schedule my bus by 5 p.m. the day before. So my life needs to be pretty planned out. After my classes, my bus will come and pick me up and bring me home, and then my PCA will come and help me get food and get out of my dress clothes, different things like that. And then she'll leave and I'll study, and that's what my typical day looks like.
Oh, if dough is too sticky, add 1 to 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Can you get that flour from up there?
So I knew if I really wanted to get into the theater program, I needed to bring my grades up. So what I really liked about Liberty University is they offer a lot of extra help outside of classes. So I decided to go up to one of those counselors, and they helped me out with basic stuff, with my English and how to write a paper, and I finally got my grades up. And I was ready to audition again and for another production. So I finally got accepted into the program, and I decided to audition, and I was cast into my first main stage theater production here, and I was extremely excited and thrilled. Rehearsal process was a little bit intimidating at first, but people are so friendly here. I made friends, and hopefully they will last for a lifetime. Rehearsals are pretty long, and they're pretty tiring sometimes, but they're just a lot of fun. They're about 4 hours a day, and then at the weekends they're like almost the whole day long. But we're excited, and we were practicing. We were just getting ready for an audience.
Law school has been quite the journey. The first semester was very difficult. I really had to rely on God that first semester, just studying as much as I possibly could. The stereotypical law student is very aggressive and confident, and I'm not like that. I'm more shy and reserved. Once I got a little bit more comfortable with law school, I was able to explore my passions a little bit more. And because of the experience at my birth and what I was learning in the law, I realized that I had a passion to fight abortion. And so I was able to get involved with a pro-life group, and I was also able to speak at different events at the school. And in the most recent past, I was able to speak at a Family Research Council event in DC.
What if I lost everything that I had, like a castle built upon the sand? That's who I would be.
Last year, we got word that my son was being deployed to Iraq. It was devastating. And at that point, I thought, there's just no way I'm going to graduate. What good is a degree without either one of my sons?
So everything was going well until one night during dress rehearsal. 4 days before we opened, I had an accident and I fell.
The academic journey at Liberty University is more than classes and coursework. It's about the people who are part of the Liberty family and the hope that each person brings to our campus.
Going back to the fact that the doctors told my parents that I would never amount to anything, it frustrates me that a doctor would put value on someone's life. Putting value on someone's life only lies in one person's hands, and that's God.
So I ended up going to the emergency room, and there the doctor told me that I had a fractured back. He also told me that I could not be a part of that show anymore. Another specialist came up to me and he said that there was a possibility of me having back surgery, which is pretty serious. And he also told me that I could end up in a wheelchair.
You overwhelmed my heart.
He had decided to join the military. He felt that it was just too hard for him to be here at Liberty. Too many years, too many memories with his brother, wanting to be here, and now without his brother, he couldn't be here any longer, so he decided to join the Army. And I remember asking several of my friends to pray. After several days of just crying out to the Lord and pretty much just keeping myself locked in the bedroom, feeling like I've just given up, I really felt the Lord convicting me. If I could trust Him with Jamie's life and that He had numbered all of his days, why couldn't I trust Him with Drew's? I really felt the Lord, just saying, I have given you something to do, and that was to finish this degree.
Going back to the fact that the doctors told my parents that I would never amount to anything, that's pretty big to tell someone and pretty bold. And if I could go back to him and talk to him today, I would say, how dare you? How dare you tell someone that they can't do something? Because really, putting value on someone's life only lies in one person's hands, and that's God. God is the only person who determines our value, and we all have value, and that's because of the blood of Jesus.
So the thought of ending up in a wheelchair was frightening. All my dreams and aspirations and goals had to be changed. I can't do the everyday thing. I can't walk to class. I wouldn't be able to dance. I wouldn't be able to perform anymore. And being a theater major, that had to be crossed off the list. So I was faced with going back to Brazil. And the idea of going back defeated was devastating.
This year, this May, I'll be graduating from law school, and that's great. I never imagined that I would make it this far. I never imagined that I would even be able to come here. And so to be graduating is just is a testimony to God's faithfulness and just His ability to use each of us for a specific purpose.
We said our goodbyes to Drew, and a few months later, as he was within hours of boarding the plane to leave the soil of the U.S., I get a call, and God has intervened through a health issue that he had years ago. God brought this back into his life, and it kept him from deploying.
Holmes.
For me, I think commencement will mean that hope being the hands and feet, the tangible product that Christ calls us to be. Having this degree will actually allow me to offer the hope that's been shown to me the last 4 years, to be able to offer it to others.
I ended up getting an MRI scan. And there the doctor found out that I did not have to have back surgery. But he also told me I did have to use a wheelchair to recover in this huge back brace. But I did end up getting back on my feet. So I got back into auditioning, and I got cast in a significant role in one of the musicals the department puts on. And one day, an adjudicator from outside of Liberty came and watched one of the performances. And he awarded me with a nomination from the Kennedy Center American Theater Festival for an Irene Ryan, which means excellence in acting. So all of these circumstances, positives and negatives, was God shaping me into the person that I am today. And now I'm graduating. Who knows what I'm going to do next, and maybe continue my education. I would like to do that. But eventually I would also like to go back to Brazil and start a Christian performing arts school there, where I can equip others to effectively use this art to serve God.
Commencement 2012 is a time of celebration, reflection, and anticipation. It's time to move forward into a new chapter of their lives.
Why is God allowing me to graduate and not Jamie? When the person handed me my cap and gown, I just couldn't quite get the words to say appropriately to the Lord, what is this for?
I hereby confer upon you the degree of the university with all the rights and privileges appertaining thereunto. You may now move your tassels.
Three students have run the academic race and finished well, and they are only a small number of the countless Liberty University graduates who have done the same. This is the mission of Liberty University, to train champions for Christ.